everyone! It's time for me to give a full overview and review of SCR version 2.3, the update full of pantographs, tram trains, and so much more. This has been a long time coming, and I'm just as excited as you all are, so I hope you enjoy the video. First of all, my favourite part of this update is the new pantographs and power systems. We've been waiting for this feature in SCR for many years, and I feel like the game is a lot more complete with this. Mesh tracks when. Simply stated, you switch your train on when you spawn, pick power modes for bi-mode and tri-mode trains, and pantographs only work when you're under overhead wires. Some trains have a battery to be used on unelectrified lines, which recharges when you have your pantograph up, and can actually run out, leading to you despawning. Many routes and trains require power changes at certain points, indicated by these new lovely looking real-life accurate signs, and you can choose to power change whilst moving or whilst stopped. You can also coast and accelerate down Brenton Bridge with no power if you want to be quirky. Either way, the complexity of features related to the power states is really satisfying, and I absolutely adore how this part of the update was executed. The new pantograph models look cool, and the sounds related to engine starts and power changes are a nice addition. Seeing the pantograph move up onto the wires is really satisfying, although it would be cool if it was a bit more of a speedy and bouncy animation like it would be in real life. Also,
Spud alert.
This new sound really makes me chuckle. It sounds like something Toby Fox would make. Guess I'll have to get used to it with my driving abilities. The next big highlight of this update is the tram train section, where you get to run on the road using a Class 398 tram train. This system is based on the Cardiff Crossrail, a future project which will involve the 398s which are currently under testing in real life. As a feature in SCR, which is a game primarily focused on engaging players with a range of different gameplay opportunities, this is just what we needed. It's a very different type of gameplay, and yet it's still familiar like the rest of the trains. I always wanted them to delete the old Tramlink track models to stop people asking for Tramlink to come to the game, but I suppose this solution is the best of both worlds. It gives the community what they want, a form of trams, whilst maintaining the game's identity as a mainline railway simulator. Some key features of this new section include a battery-only section of track, the game's first platforms on a gradient, grassy tracks like on the Manchester Metro link, a bell on the tram train, running on the road, traffic lights, and even new tram signals. The amount of new considerations that went into this section makes the update very cool. Here's a quick time-lapse of the whole section. Starting from Barton, you go down the now completed triangle into Berrily, across a complex junction, and up a hill onto the external platforms outside Berrily Station. From here, the speed limit becomes quite low as you start to cross roads and pedestrianised areas, stopping at Denton Road in this lovely new area of scenery. You then head to Greenslade, briefly merging with Waterline at the new station, before turning back off and going down into this new section. Robinson Way is next, in a fairly small area, and then you continue along the road with some nice houses to the side, along with the raised Waterline tracks. The route ends at Whitney Green, just like the old Tramlink model did, in a very green area, with a single island platform. I'll review each of these stations individually after talking more about some other things. Speaking of new gameplay opportunities, dispatching in SCR has had a major change. At stations with junctions after them, you now have to activate TRTS of the train using a box in the station, rather than pressing a button on the UI like before. Only once you've activated TRTS can you then go and stand in the correct position to dispatch the train. I'm glad to see that they followed how it works in real life, and it honestly just makes dispatching a little more interesting, albeit a bit harder. You can also see a tag showing you where the TRTS boxes sit so that you don't get lost. Also, the doors on the Pacer actually work now. It's worth mentioning that the platform information screens in SCR now actually have a proper use, as predictive platform allocation allows trains to be assigned a platform to each station as soon as it spawns in. It also means that platform alteration announcements are now quite common in SCR, just like in real life. The screens have a system just like in the UK, where the bottom line of the screen cycles between the second and third expected train, which probably could be a smoother transition like in real life, but it's still a cool feature. Next up, I'll go through and review all the new upgraded parts of the map, including stations, depots and scenery. The quality of scenery has certainly gone up quite a lot in this update, which I'm really happy to see, especially since the quality of the Morganstown area was so low before the update. We'll start with the new Stepford Bay line, a mostly single-track battery-only branch to the west of Stepford. Stepford Bay Station isn't the most eye-catching station ever, but does the job with its loose basis on Cardiff Bay. You could even call 2.3 the Wales update. I'm not so sure on how the front canopy looks, but the platform texture is nice and the scenery surrounding the station is lovely, with this dock area too. If you remember my video from a few years ago about random things in SCR, this was the first thing I mentioned, and it turns out I was right in that this would eventually become part of the map. The stop just after Stepford Bay is Cadoxton, which I really like on the basis of it being a small-scale station in a small-scale area. The houses surrounding it fit the theme well, and the station is honestly quite cute despite being basic. The footbridge at the end looks a little clunky and old, but this is probably intentional, which makes the theming of the area even better. Stations like this make Stepford really feel like an actual city where people live. Fun fact, it was my idea to make the bridge low to give this line a reason for having no electrification. I'm really impressed with the new Beachley station upgrade based on Cardiff Queen Street, especially when compared with the old station. The entrance hall is detailed with some nice corridor designs on the inside, and the platforms themselves are also detailed, giving the station some character. The red theming also fits really well here, surrounded by trees. The layout has changed significantly, where the middle platforms are now for terminating as well as through running overflow, with an additional short platform to the side primarily for trains coming from Stepford Bay. Hampton Hargate has to be my new favourite station. Work was started to update this a very long time ago, and finally seeing this in the game in all its glory is really quite something. It's based on Coventry, with all of its real-life accurate entrances and surrounding scenery being considered. The inside concourses are nice and spacious, with the platforms having a great level of detail and theming, with 2 footbridges, an old one and a new one that's modelled really nicely. I also like the nod to the Welcome to Coventry sign over here at the end of the platforms. The scenery also extends decently far, adding to the immersion, with a pedestrian bridge to the west side. There's also a signal box over here, similar to the real one in Coventry. A lot of people are disappointed with the changes to Morganstown Station, saying that they preferred the previous grandeur of it. However, I feel that Hampton Hargate has replaced that grandeur, and Morganstown doesn't need it. It never got that many trains anyway. Based on Stalybridge, the new station entrance looks great, with some pretty simple ways through the station to some fairly simple platforms. I quite like the wall and canopy design on this platform, and I like how dynamic the track layout is now. The bridge next to Morganstown has also finally been replaced, looking a lot more clean now. It's probably also worth noting that the Class 345 airport shuttle can now come to here in Hampton Hargate, which I suppose increases the value of the 345 slightly, but I think you should be able to drive an Airlink stopper service like the Elizabeth line. The train is still way too expensive for what little you can do with it. Benton Bridge is a very close contender for first place for me, using the brand new Brent Cross West station on the Midland Main Line in London as inspiration. The main entrance lacks the good-looking greenery it has in real life, but it still looks very good, with the other entrance being fitting as well. The massive overbridge to the station is a really good place to look outside and train spot, although these blue beams are a bit vibrant for my liking. The thing I absolutely love about Benton Bridge Station is the roof canopies and the platforms. They look really detailed and exactly like real life, and I can tell a lot of effort was put into it. Benton Bridge itself is very different now, looking splendid, without the stupid roller coaster gradients it used to have. Also, no more Benton blockers, haha. And now it's time to face my fears and say that Berrily is Pog. Yes, Berrily has finally been upgraded to look like Northampton, and I'm loving it. The surroundings look great, the new entrance is more interesting than the old one, and the canopies at platform level are nicely detailed despite having a strange shape. I feel like the canopies are a bit low though, and also I think that the colour palette of the station is a bit too saturated, but I love the junction designs around the station, and of course the slanted tram platforms off to the side. It's been a long time coming, though I will miss the old Berrily from the memes a few years ago. Carrying on down the tram tracks, we get to Denton Road, which is an absolute beast when it comes to nicely designed scenery. I really love the way the roads and buildings are integrated with the tram tracks and the main line underneath. The tram platforms themselves are largely copy and paste across this line, which makes sense, and for what they are, they look good. In particular, I like the red design on these shelters, though a little bit more variation throughout the tram train stops would have been better in my opinion. Here's a fun fact. Myself and Space Eye Dragon were the ones who actually went up to Rochdale Station to take reference photos for Greenslade to be built in its image, and it turned out very well. I love the scenery around this area, as well as the upkeep with real life. Entrances are very basic, but on the inside between the platforms, the station looks really detailed, as well as on the canopies outside the station. It's now configured so that you can terminate in both directions, since Metro and Waterline collide here. Probably in my top 10 stations somewhere. Really like this one.
The scenery around Robson Way.
No, it's Robinson Way.
Oh.
The scenery around Robinson Way is really simple, and I feel like more could have been done with this area, but the nearby housing looks good, and I like having the green tracks as well as Waterline nearby. Not a whole lot to say about this station though. And finally, to wrap up the major station upgrades, Whitney Green has had its first major overhaul in its entire life. I'm not joking. The area probably has a bit too much tree spam, but it looks nice and peaceful, and the new Waterline station is simple but does the job. I believe it's supposed to be similar to Ninian Park Station. The tram train platforms off to the side look pretty cool as a contrasting element, with its very narrow island platform, and yet it seems to fit very nicely into the area. Some other stations have had some very minor changes as well. Morganstown Docks has a much nicer looking entrance now, though I still question why this station exists in the first place. Starry Lock has some lovely new scenery and a new footbridge. Upper Staplow looks less boring with another way into the station and a bit more scenery. And Bowden is now green. Ugh. Airport Parkway Depot is now a very impressive looking multi-tiered depot, with spawning places for all 5 operators in many directions, which is nice from a versatility perspective, though some parts of the depot admittedly look a bit bare. The signings at Beachley have had some much needed minor improvements, and there's also a new depot on the other side of Beachley, based on Taff's Well Depot in Cardiff again? It's like Wales is inescapable. It has some quite sharp curves which are accurate to real life, and looks decent overall, with a pretty simple train shed. There's also a new Metro depot in Bowden, in which I really love the integration to the surroundings. It's a nice nod to the old Bowden train care from a bygone era of SCR, where they used to showcase upcoming train models. There's also a sneaky track over on this side where you can return to the depot. I wonder if this will ever be used. Of course, we can't neglect some of the new scenery either. East Berrily has had a freight yard inserted near it, which you can just casually walk into, which I'm glad exists because freight yards are a good bit of scenery we probably need to see more of. Also, the entire area around the Morganstown Triangle is completely new, using flyovers and tunnels to avoid signal conflicts, and generally looking much better than it used to. Hats off to whoever built this because it looks beautifully complicated. Also, here's a quick time-lapse of the Stepford Bay line. You can see that it follows the existing triangle after Beachley, before branching off, going down into the unelectrified section, and round to Cadoxton after a passing loop. Stepford Bay is really close to Cadoxton, just around the corner, which in itself has a nice area of scenery. I have to mention the ORR, also known as the Office for Runwood and Brack, a fun little addition including a creche, many computer screens, and, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in SCR history, toilets you can walk into. There are, of course, some exciting new trains in the update, and the thing that everybody seems to love right now is the Class 91 and DBT set. What can I say? It's such an impressive model, with the proportions being right, the interior carriages being detailed, and the cab being pretty good, although not the best I've seen. The exterior body shells of trains in SCR have gradually gotten less cartoony and more real, and that is very evident with this lovely Class 91 model. You can also hear the iconic noises inside the loco when you're idling, which is such a nice touch. There's also, of course, the tram train, which isn't as impressive on the inside, but still looks smashing. The cab is a really nice one to record time lapses in because it's wide and open, with the controls being low down, but still looking good. In true Stadler form, it also has the steps that extend out to ensure level boarding. Also, my feet stick out on the other side of the control panel, which looks really funny. The longer trains game pass is gradually increasing in value, as we've also got some new double units, such as the Class 350, Class 185 and Class 385. We've also got the 700 now, which is a fun addition alongside the 707, although it gives me haunting memories of dealing with the everlasting delays of Thameslink. Although it's a sad time for those of you in the southwest, as SCR no longer has third rail, so the Class 444 and the Class 458 have been removed. It's a shame because I really like these trains in real life, especially the refurbished 458s, and they could have just added a pantograph into the pantograph well like the 707 and 777 anyway. As a South Londoner myself, justice for third rail trains. Before I end this increasingly long video, the signaller manager within me has got to mention the extensive changes we have made to signalling zones. They're now numbered rather than lettered to avoid confusion, and all of the boundaries have been shifted around, with desk locations mostly being different now. In particular, Stepford is now split into 2 zones, with the Metro core being incorporated. Rayleigh Bay is now part of the Leighton zone. The entire Morganstown area gets its own zone, and the Newry line has been isolated so it can be used as a simple practice desk in signaller trainings like the Esterfield line. Of course, you can now also signal at Hampton, Hargate and Berrily. The new centre at Berrily looks cool on the outside, though it's weirdly empty on the inside, which reminds me of the Stepford East rock from years ago that I learnt how to signal in. Anyway, that's enough waffle from me. 2.3 has to be one of my favourite updates in the history of the game, and I'm really impressed with all the new gameplay features. It also feels as though the checklist for getting all the rubbish parts of the map fix has been completed, so I'm very satisfied. Also, my brother got a shop at Barton, and there are not 1, not 2, but 3 Vecchi bakeries. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, and maybe subscribe if you like my content. I'm Dweller, and I'll see you all pretty soon for another video. Take care.